Hello, beautiful souls. I'm having a phone issue right now. Or an Eric issue, who knows. There we go. Look at that. Phone is upright. I have a balancing act happening. I hope everyone is having an awesome Friday, end of the week for people who follow the days of the week. It's the middle of today for the people who are like me and just know that it's today. I don't like the glare that this puts on my glasses. OCD like crazy on very specific things if you can't tell. But I'm wearing my glasses today for a very specific reason. So I'm gonna wait for a couple of people to hop on. And I'm feeling called to pull a couple cards to help navigate the conversation I'm going to have today. So I'm going to shuffle really quickly. I would like to know what energetic messages want to come through while I speak about Uranus and Jupiter today, please. Well, that's shocking. I hope everyone's having a lovely, awesome, wonderful day. I have some important things to talk about. I don't normally start my videos with that, but I have some important things to talk about today. That's the thing. Please hold. It's literally everything. Okay. I have some important things to speak about, so definitely please share this if you predict that there's going to be some useful information coming through, because I do. And I want to talk about something that's not being talked about at all, that's kind of not getting any of the spotlight, ironically enough. So that's why I feel this is so important. If you know me, you know I love talking about the things that people don't talk about. You know I love looking at the information that isn't super overt and people don't normally pay attention to or feel the need to express. So that's a huge part of what's going on today. And I'm really pumped because I'm like, ooh, no one's spoken about this. I get to be the first person. I'm sure after I post this, I'll see that everyone's speaking about it. But anywho, so if my phone is vibrating, my phone is going to move, which means I can't have my phone vibrating, so I'm gonna turn that off. There we go. All right. Hello to everyone that's joining. I see you all. Hello. Hi, Ken. Hello. So, let's get into it. Let's get into my camp hair that I have not washed in days. Let's get into a mess. Let's get into excitement. Let's get into power. Let's get into more shifts, more transformation, more change. If you're done with talking about change and transformation and shifts, then go sleep in a box for the rest of your life, because this is the path we're on right now. So I said earlier that I was wearing my glasses for a reason, and I would like to show you what that reason is. I decided to make chicken scratches on paper. I decided to take notes, which I haven't done in like 2 years for a video, because as I was thinking about everything that's going on, I was like, I need to make sure I don't forget any of this. I need to make sure I stay on topic today, so good luck. I need to make sure that I get all this information out, because I have on my calendar on my phone, which I'm going to need to do this again in a couple months, but I map out all of the major planetary phases, retrogrades, moon phases, and everything like that for the entire year. So that's, some people ask me, like, how do you know about it? Because I write it in my phone. It's not like every day I'm sitting there researching planetary alignments, but I will take a few days out of my year at once to research what the planetary alignments are going to be. That way I'm prepared for them, and I have alarms set for when things are going to blow up and be destructive. So I definitely recommend doing the same. But the reason I bring that up is because there's a really awesome, powerful, dynamic aspect that's happening this weekend, Sunday and Monday, which means we're all in it already. But there's a really powerful thing that's happening, a transfer of power actually, that's taking place that I've been super excited for, and then I'm like realizing today and yesterday that no one has spoken about it. So let's talk about a couple of planets. One planet that we haven't talked about much on here, Uranus, and the other planet being Jupiter, which I don't need my glasses right now. That glare is bugging me. And Jupiter, which I spoke about a couple of months ago, because Jupiter went direct. Jupiter went retrograde a couple months ago. It is going direct on Sunday. So this is powerful, this is dynamic, this is shifty, because of the fact that Uranus is going retrograde the day after. So it's like Uranus and Jupiter, now that I took my glasses off. Hello, Stacy, how are you? So Uranus is going to be going retrograde on Monday, and Jupiter is going direct on Sunday. So literally what we have is like the two planets are trading shifts. It's like Uranus is saying, okay, Jupiter, like you're getting up now, I'm going to go to bed, you get to watch the door, or you get to watch whatever it is that you're watching. So they're trading. One's waking up, one's going to sleep. So a few months ago I was talking about when Jupiter went retrograde. It's been more than a few months. It's been like 6 months probably. When Jupiter went retrograde, it was in the sign of Sagittarius, which is its home sign. So if you're a Sagittarian, Jupiter is your ruling planet. Jupiter is like the god of gods. He's known as a supreme ruler, a supreme being. Jupiter is a planet. I've talked a lot, and with what was going on when Jupiter went retrograde, most of what I was talking about was Jupiter's connections to blessings and miracles and abundance and receiving and being open to receive and emptying our hands of the things that we didn't need so that we could be in a place to receive. Jupiter has a lot to do with being our own blessings, being our own miracles, being our own source of power and divine creation. Jupiter has a lot to do. I was reading a book, some book that talks about planets, and it referred to Jupiter and his gifts that he gives us as being like free lunch. Like it's like even if you were going to spend the money on lunch, Jupiter's got you. If you didn't have money for lunch, Jupiter's got you. And so we have been maybe feeling like we've been lacking some of that energy for the last 6-7 months, feeling like we're not receiving as much as we normally do, or feeling like we're having to tie up loose ends that would have been tied up on their own before, feeling like, hello, Michelle, I love you. Feeling like Jupiter all of a sudden isn't paying attention to us, and Jupiter's the one who kind of comes in and saves us at the last minute. So for the last several months, we haven't had that, and we've needed to be our own Captain Save-A-Ho, if you will. So I hope you've been saving yourself. Repent. I keep looking over to look at notes, but the page flipped over, so I can't see anything. But what I want to talk about more this time is how Jupiter has to do. Jupiter, so being the ruler of blessings and miracles and abundance and blah, 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 Jupiter is also the biggest planet, and he's also the planet of expansion. He's the planet of ideology. He's the planet of consciousness and big thinking, big picture stuff. It's funny because when we're children, they call higher education like college. And in the spiritual world, Jupiter is the planet of higher education, which actually has more to do with like philosophy and big ideas and thinking outside of the box and things of that nature, spiritual concepts and things like that. So Jupiter is actually the ruler of higher education. That's higher than grade school. So that's always nice. And so with Jupiter going direct, what we're going to be noticing are shifts in the way that we think, shifts in our cognitive processes, shifts in our belief systems, shifts in the way that we view spirituality or the way that we view humanity. On top of all of those things having to do with abundance. I don't want to speak about abundance too much today because I've done a lot of that. I've been trying to help set everyone up for the abundance aspects of Jupiter. So hopefully we've got all of those locked away, and those were the ones that were the most affected by the planetary aspects that we were witnessing the last several months. So now going forward, I want to focus when it comes to Jupiter on the big picture stuff, the expansive thinking, belief systems. And the thing about belief systems is that in order to expand our belief systems, we kind of have to break away some. We kind of have to dissolve some. We kind of have to release belief systems that we've been holding on to. Belief systems that may have served us at one point in time, that may have saved our lives at one point in time, that may have created a safe or a comfortable lifestyle for us at one point in time, whatever that is for you. Now what we're seeing is how the belief systems we've had have been limiting us. And so it's been set up so perfectly. All of this Leo energy, the sun is in Leo, Lion's Gate happening, the new moon, full moon, eclipses, black moons in Leo, everything has been set up for Jupiter to wake up right now and us to step into this energy of expanding our belief systems to break outside of the ones that limit us and keep us from holding, or hold us back, or keep us back, I guess is what I was trying to say, from tapping into our full power. And also with the sun being in Leo right now still until the 22nd, or the 22nd, Jupiter is even stronger. So we have all of this fire energy, Sagittarius, Jupiter, the sun, Leo. I was talking about Aries stuff a couple of weeks ago. Everything right now is to tap us into our power. So it's almost like this last piece is the belief systems. Spiritual beliefs, human beliefs, whatever the belief systems are, having to do with your power, your abilities, what you're capable of, what you deserve to have, what your worth and your value is, what your strengths and your weaknesses are, that kind of stuff, we're really going to be challenged with right now. So that means stepping into opportunities and situations that give us the chance to exercise a new type of power, or a type of power we've never tapped into before, or even a type of power that might reside in the same space as a weakness that we have, or that we think that we have. That way we can understand what both sides of that coin what both sides of the coin are. That. I just got a huge effing jolt. Hello. You're welcome. So what's interesting about you saying that, actually, Michelle, is that Uranus is known as a planet of lightning, a planet of the sky, a ruler of the sky, a ruler of lightning. Uranus is associated with Odin. And so I guess shifted into Uranus. Uranus is going to be retrograde on Monday. And so Uranus is the planet of dynamic change. Uranus is the planet of individuality. Uranus is the planet that rules Aquarius. And so that also means that Uranus is the planet of humanitarianism and altruism, communal concepts, thinking for the tribe and the community instead of, or in comparison to, thinking for the self and doing things from a space of self-serving intentions. So the reason that both of these, I want to make sure I didn't miss anything with Jupiter, because like I said, I jump around a lot and I took notes today, which is something I don't do. Jupiter is also the planet of optimism, and this is stuff I've talked about before, but optimism, success, joy, just in case there's anything that I missed. Honor, faith, and wisdom. Jupiter comes through and makes us want to, and the same as Sagittarian energy or Sagittarius people, Jupiter comes through and makes us want to, or invites us to allow ourselves to want things different, to allow ourselves to want more, to allow ourselves to want new experiences. I actually was just having a conversation with a friend yesterday, and it's so interesting when we start realizing how much in our lives we don't do for ourselves and we do for other people. And the irony behind that is, especially talking about Uranus and Aquarius, is like, yeah, you know, we are definitely here to love each other. We're here to help each other. We're here to be support and comfort and all of those wonderful things. But if we're not being that for ourselves first, we can never be in a healthy or a helpful or an energetically aligned place to do that for other people. It's like, for example, Michelle. I can always want to support Michelle. I can always want to be there for Michelle. I can always be a shoulder to cry on or a body to laugh with, whatever it is. But if I'm not in a good space, and if I'm not doing that simply to do it, if I'm doing that because I think that I have to, for example, or if I'm doing that because I'll feel bad if I don't, or if I'm doing that because Michelle made me feel guilty, whatever the case is, if I'm doing that for any reason other than being with Michelle brings me joy, then that energy is what's going into that situation, and that's the energy that I'm breeding out of that situation as well. I hope that makes sense. So this energy is helping us to understand what we do from a space that is actually centered and aligned when it comes to doing things for other people versus doing things for other people that might come from an insecure place or an undervalued place or an obligatory place or whatever that place might be. This is a place where we get to see what are my intentions for doing the things that I do, and do I want to keep doing things that way? What's beautiful about that is that Uranus, being a planet of dynamic change, is going to, since it's going retrograde, it's going to highlight all of the ways that we need to change that work against us. And so that means that we're going to be confronted with a lot of situations that if we resist them, they're going to be extremely freaking abrasive. If we resist them, it's going to be like we're standing next to a human-sized piece of sandpaper and we're just rubbing our faces against them just because we don't want to do something else. This is going to be a time for us, and the reason that this there's so much to get into. The reason that this shift is going to be so profound and so huge and so important for us is because all of the planetary aspects have come to this place where it's like, step into your power, step into who you are, step into your authenticity, and we're going to show you how not doing those things might work against you. We're going to show you how not doing those things might contribute to your unhappiness. We're going to show you how not doing those things might contribute to you not taking enough time for self-care. We're going to show you how these things might contribute to the unhealthy relationships that you have. So it's been a lot of like, yeah, well, if you don't want to do that, we're just going to show you what's going on there. We're just going to highlight some things for you. We're going to give you the opportunity to make those fucking changes on your own, because that's your responsibility. But with Uranus going retrograde and going to sleep, that means that, so first, as always, when something goes retrograde, when it goes to sleep, it's our opportunity to be that for ourselves. So with it going retrograde, we're going to see all of this stuff that needs to change. We're going to be seeing all of this stuff that's working against us. We're going to be seeing all of these ways in which, because also Uranus rules our individuality, our sense of self. So if we're not doing these things, we're going to be losing our sense of self. So what's happening right now is we've been brought into this place where the universe is like, step into your power, and then simultaneously it's bringing us to this place where we're getting to see how if we're not stepping into this, we're stepping away from ourselves. If we're not stepping into our truth, we're stepping away from who we are. If we're not stepping into our authenticity, we're stepping away from abundance. If we're not stepping into our power, we're stepping away from opportunities for joy. So now we're getting all of these connecting pieces that are showing us how, like, well, if you don't do this, then you're going to be in this, and this really freaking sucks. You're going to be in this, and you're not going to be happy. You're going to be in this, and you're going to forget who you are. You might not even know what brings you joy. You might not even know what you're passionate about. You might not even know what hobbies you like doing. And so these energies coming together and Uranus going to sleep, it's like, now you get to walk into every situation that's not really authentic to or aligned with who you are as an individual, and who you are also when it comes to your soul purpose, when it comes to what brings you a sense of fulfillment and success like Jupiter does. And it's going to say, okay, this isn't bringing you that. This is going to irritate you. Are you going to change it? So we have all of these, again, opportunities to create change. So right now is a time of change, and specifically change as it applies and relates to our power. Girl, you know that's me right now, curling up and enjoying my restorative hermitage. Yes. And that's that, and with everything that's been going on, that's good. With the sun aspects, Jupiter, Uranus, and everything like that, I will definitely say that right now is, especially coming out of this weekend, and you know, we still are in Mercury retrogrades post-shadow. So definitely still a good time for hermitage. Also a good time to start coming out from under the blankets. Also a good time to start stepping out into the world, especially since we still have the sun in Leo right now. We can take advantage of the fact that Mercury is not in retrograde anymore, and we can go put ourselves in the spotlight a bit more. We don't have to worry about saying the wrong thing as much. We don't have to worry about stumbling over our words. We don't have to worry about calling someone the wrong name or asking someone if they're pregnant when they're not, whatever the case is. So we can go show our face now. We can go be in the spotlight. We can go really embody more of that Leo energy, that Sagittarius energy, that Jupiter energy, that Sun energy, and in order to really, really take advantage of everything that it is bringing us right now. So, what did I miss? Something that's interesting, so Jupiter, so Uranus, earlier I mentioned that Uranus is known as like the god of all gods, the supreme ruler. What's interesting is Jupiter is actually known as the first god, like the original ruler of the universe. So that's another interesting play of energy that I think is really symbolic, is that we have Jupiter waking up, Jupiter being the first ruler, and then Uranus going to sleep, which is known as the supreme ruler and god of gods. So it's like having two kings ruling over the same land, and they just do it in shifts. It's like, that's literally what it's like. There's two kings. And so what's interesting is how they're not being awake at the same time. So it makes me think that once Uranus wakes up and Jupiter's awake at the same time, that's going to be when we really see these pieces falling into place that we're putting together right now. Because having one ruler asleep and one awake means that maybe we get away with some stuff over here that we wouldn't get away with over here. Or maybe we get involved in some activities over here that we wouldn't do if Uranus was awake. And when they're both awake, that's when our shit has to be together. That's when we need to be walking a straight line. That's when we need to make sure that we're standing in our power, doing the things that we need to be doing to make ourselves happy. God, there's so much stuff. Something that's really important to talk about when it comes to Jupiter-Uranus aspects in general is how much, and I posted a link to this in my group, The Ascenders, so I'll post the link on this video when I'm done with this as well, but I found this really awesome article. Because I was like, I know that these aspects have shown up before and I've just never paid attention to them, so can I find them in history? And I was able to actually find an article that had all of the major societal, historical, technological, innovative, whatever shifts and changes that have happened when Jupiter and Uranus have been at some sort of aspect in the sky. Every time these two planets are aspecting or doing their retrograde dance or whatever it is together, there is some sort of huge shift that happens, whether it's, globally or for a country or a culture, whatever it is, a niche market. There's always some sort of huge innovation or something that takes place or comes to light. These planets together are especially, if we take Jupiter, a planet of innovation and new ideas and expanded ways of thinking, and we combine that with Uranus, a planet of dynamic change, stepping into individuality and authenticity, change that we never expect or see coming, we can understand how those link up in history. The invention of the light bulb, the invention of this, the invention of that. There are so many things that line up with this type of aspect that this actually denotes that there's going to be a huge, whether it's, globally or nationally or whatever it is, who knows? Personally, I feel globally, but there's going to be this huge shift that takes place over the world after Uranus wakes up. So the thing is Uranus going to sleep doesn't mean that he makes things change. It means that when he goes to sleep, we then get to understand what needs to change. We then get to see, taste, smell, and experience everything that is not in a place that we want it to be, everything that's not congruent with who we want to be, everything that's not aligned with the world that we want to create. We get to see all of that stuff. That means that excuses and reasons for things to change are going to be popping up all over the world, and we're going to be seeing them. And that's already been happening, and I mean forever that's been happening, but just think about, let's take the last couple of weeks, for example, and I'm not one who's big on or up to date on current events or politics or anything like that. I don't apologize, but think about everything that's been going on for the last couple of weeks in the world, and how we're like, how is this happening again today? How is this happening again? Didn't that just happen somewhere else? How is this happening? We're literally already stepping into that energy of seeing everything that needs to change, of seeing everything that is affecting us horrendously, everything that has nothing to do with the good of the planet, everything that has nothing to do with loving, altruistic, humanitarian ideologies, everything that has nothing to do with fairness and equality and unconditional love and peace. All of those things that, I mean, I would hope we all want for the planet. We're all seeing how this is not happening. And so then when Uranus wakes up, we're going to be able to put those changes into place because we've been letting this Jupiter energy of innovation and new ideas and removing the structure from our beliefs. We're letting those ideas birth something in us so that we can produce and bring to physicality those changes that Uranus is already energetically setting up for us. I'm covered in goosebumps. Don't you love it? Hi Tina, hello Tina. Thank you. This is my I was sleeping in the woods in Utah for 4 days hair. I'm glad you enjoyed. It still smells like the pond. Michelle, did you say Uranus is retrograde now or about to? It goes retrograde on Monday. So we're in the pre-shadow, which means we're already seeing this stuff. So as I've talked about with Mercury retrograde as well, all retrogrades are the same in that it has its main retrograde phase for however long its retrograde phase is. Uranus is going, Uranus has a 7-month retrograde, I believe it is. So I want to say Jupiter's 5 to 7 months, Uranus is 7 to something months, and then it gets bigger from there, depending on how far away the planets are. So yes, we are in the pre-shadow now and feeling it. So that's why I was referencing the stuff that's been happening the last couple weeks. We're like, no, this isn't happening. This shouldn't happen. This needs to change. What's beautiful about this too is that since Jupiter brings us new ideas and innovation and blah blah blah, that means that it's so funny because it's like, and I don't want to, but I have to. So it's like one end of the spectrum, we have people saying we need to ban guns. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have people saying, screw that, we need to allow people to have guns so that they can defend themselves. What's beautiful is that both of those are true and neither of those are true. And Jupiter, with this Uranus aspect, is going to, and not just for this specific issue, which I don't mean to bring that into this, but not just because of that specific issue, but because of everything in the world. We're going to see that neither of those, it's not a left issue and it's not a right issue. It's an everyone issue. So Jupiter's going to allow us to see what that middle route is. Jupiter's going to allow us to see, okay, if I'm not thinking in terms of left and right, if I'm just thinking in terms of love, if I'm just thinking in terms of peace, what's the answer then? And so this energy, this shift is going to spark us to be thinking in those ways instead of thinking of me versus them, or that against that, or option A and option B. It's going to show us that like option F32 was an option and we didn't even know that was a thing. Ooh, I almost fell out of my chair. Did you see that? Tina, I feel like Mercury was in retrograde today, to be honest. Old issues popping up for healing. So Tina, I posted a video in the last couple of days about when Mercury comes out of retrograde. It was just either yesterday or the day before that I posted. It was whenever I came back from Utah. So definitely go on my page or my YouTube or something and watch that. That'll help to understand what's going on with that. As I was saying earlier, with like all planets have their retrograde, I didn't finish my thought earlier actually. So all planets have their main retrograde phase, and then they also have a pre-shadow and a post. So it's like, so the way I explain it to people is like, it's retrograde is when it's asleep. The pre-shadow is when it's starting to get sleepy. It's like putting on its PJs, brushing its teeth, having its midnight snack, whatever it does before bed. And then it goes into retrograde. And then after retrograde is the post-shadow. And so that's when it's waking up, it's groggy, it's not fully awake yet, needs to have its morning cup of coffee or its poop or whatever it is that wakes it up, and then it's ready to go. So we have a couple weeks before every retrograde and then a couple weeks after every retrograde that actually contribute a lot to what the main period of the retrograde is going to be bringing us. I hope that makes sense. I feel like I say that a lot. Let's keep account of how many times Eric asks if things make sense. Oh, one of the major things about what's going on right now is the fact that Uranus, when it goes retrograde, will be in the sign of Taurus. And Uranus is in the sign of Taurus right now, and I might have mentioned this a few months ago because this is huge. This is really exciting. Are you ready for this? So, Uranus in Taurus is all about, which this makes me super, a piece I had not put together yet. Interesting. Uranus in Taurus. Let me hike my butt up on my seat so I can get ready for this. Uranus in Taurus is about restructuring toxic masculinity. What? Uranus in Taurus is about embodying divine femininity. It's beautiful, right? Very interesting. So Taurus is ruled by Venus. Venus being the divine feminine, Venus being the planet of love and beauty, Taurus being the sign of our home, Taurus being the sign of being grounded and earthy, Taurus being the sign of safety and security, foundational energies, motherly comfort, material goods and possessions. So what this means is Uranus going retrograde in Taurus is going to start showing us how we could more embody divine femininity and how we can dissolve toxic masculinity. So this is huge for us. This is why I believe this is going to be a global shift, because we have, and think about the duality in this. So we have this Uranus retrograde energy in Taurus, divine femininity, womanly love and comforts and nurturing and safety and security and equality and blah, blah, blah. And then we have all of this fire energy that's pushing us into this planetary aspect. We have the sun, fire, in Leo, fire, Jupiter, fire and wind, in Sagittarius, fire, double Leo new moons, black moon fire, and then Leo Lion's Gate portal, fire. So we have all of these fire aspects that are literally heating us up, that are literally gearing us up to step into some sort of understanding of how we need to further embrace divine femininity. Are you excited? Because I'm fucking excited. And do you know why I'm even more excited as of 30 seconds ago? Because Las Vegas people, our first gathering of the gods is this Sunday, the day that Uranus, or the day that Jupiter goes direct. So, and if you're not in Vegas, then tune out for a few seconds. But this is actually huge, because the purpose of this gathering, the purpose of this circle that's going to be a monthly men's circle, is for us to redefine masculinity. So this is actually a really awesome trick of the universe that I'm seeing is happening right now in front of my face. So this is super exciting. This means that going forward, we're going to be maybe more affected by fire. We're going to be seeing how fire might affect people negatively or positively, how it might help, how it might hurt, things of that nature. We're going to literally be thrown into a time of needing to or wanting to redefine what fire is, redefine what masculinity is, redefine what femininity is. Redefine what's healthy, redefine what's safe, redefine what is loving, redefine what is peaceful. So this is going to be a huge dynamic time. This is why I felt like this was so important. Am I hearing cicada bugs? It's like a mini applause. You probably are, actually. There's usually a couple outside somewhere here. I didn't notice them until you said that, and I'm like, yeah, there are cicadas outside. They came with me from Utah. Great time for men's circle. Can you believe that, Michelle? Like, couldn't have been planned any freaking better than that. That is so exciting. And, oh my god. And this is, wow, this is wild. So, also, I'm like, bam, bam, bam. Uranus, so earlier I was talking about how Uranus has a really long, orbit. So it takes Uranus 7 years to make its rotation around the sun, and so it's known as an outer planet. And so the other two, oh crap, I shouldn't have done that. The other two outer planets are Pluto and Neptune? Uranus, Neptune, Pluto. That sounds right. So the three furthest away from the sun, since they take so long to orbit, that means that they stay in each astrological sign for a long time. So to kind of frame that for you, the moon, for example, we know rotates around the sun really quickly. The moon changes signs every 2 to 3 days. So that's why our emotions flow so much. That's why our emotions change so much, because the moon is in a new sign every couple of days. The sun takes about 28 days to make its rotation around itself. I totally explained that horribly. But the sun, it takes 28 days to make a rotation or a cycle through each zodiac sign. So that's why, you know, it's Leo season right now, then on the 22nd it'll be Virgo season, blah, blah, blah. So Uranus takes 7 years. Pluto takes something ridiculous, like 19 to 80 years or something like that. And so what that means is each of those last 3 planets, they're called generational planets. A generational planet is a planet whose effects cover a large range of people. So to frame that for you, for example, my moon is in Virgo. I'm a double Virgo. Someone who was born 4 days after me, their moon is not going to be in the same sign as mine. However, someone who was born 4 years before or after me will probably have the same Uranus as me. So within 7 years is typically the thing. So that means that everyone, wherever I land in Uranus, let's say I'm smack dab in the middle of Uranus's cycle, that means that everyone 3.5 years older than me and 3.5 years younger than me are going to have the same Uranus aspect as me. So that's a generation. That means that the way that I'm affected by Uranus's dynamic change, the people who are in the same generation as me are going to be affected just as much. Is that making sense? I want to make sure that makes sense. That makes sense. So this means that entering this phase right now, we're seeing that Uranus is going to have an effect of 7 years. That's its retrograde plus it being in Taurus. So we're going to see these effects over several years, which means there's something that's going to be created after these effects take place. This is a generational shift. This could potentially be a global shift. This is a shift having to do with masculine and feminine energies. This is also a shift having to do with home life. So on a personal level, so scaling it back down to the micro, on a personal level, this Uranus-Jupiter shift is going to force us, / invite us, to look at how our home life is not serving us. To bring us to be honest with ourselves about how our roots might be planted in the wrong foundation. To find out how maybe someone else's roots are planted in our foundation. We don't want that. Maybe we're going to see that living with our best friend was a horrible idea. Maybe we're going to see that living alone isn't serving it. Maybe we're going to see that living alone isn't serving us. Maybe we're going to see that living out of our van isn't working for us. Maybe we're going to see that having a 10-bedroom home isn't for us anymore. Whatever the case is, Taurus-Uranus shift is a shift of home life, a shift of foundation, a shift of really close interpersonal relationships. Also, Uranus-Taurus with this Jupiter energy is going to change the way that we think about safety, to change the way that we think about security, to change the way that we think about material comforts and goods, to change the way that we think about financial abundance also. So with Jupiter waking up right now, and Jupiter being the planet of abundance and all of that good stuff, we're going to be shown how the most abundance comes from stepping into situations of the most joy. We're going to be shown how the most abundance comes from stepping into the most power, which stepping into our most power is stepping into our most authenticity. So it's literally this recurring message of be yourself. It's like the answer for everything. Just be you. And the difficulty about that is it's like some days I don't know who the fuck I am. Some days I don't even realize it, but I'm still living from an old paradigm or an old pattern or a belief system that's not mine. So it's like, how do we take responsibility for the changes that we need to make when we don't even know that we need to make them? So that's part of why this aspect is happening. It's so that all of that stuff can be brought to light. It's like, well, you don't understand how, you know, the clothes that you wear don't really embody you. I'm going to show you that. which is another Uranus energy. It's understanding how we're not stepping into our individuality, understanding how we're not embodying our authenticity day in and day out. And that's something that the longer that, once it gets to the heart of Uranus's retrograde in a few months, it's going to be harder and harder for us to not be our authentic selves, for us to not stand in our truth, for us to not walk in our power, because eventually, I'll be dramatic and say, eventually it will make us miserable to continue to live in a space that's not our own space, to continue to live in beliefs that aren't our beliefs, to continue to live in mentalities that aren't ours. If you're living in someone else's belief systems, what are you doing with yours? If you're living in someone else's mind, your mind is seeing atrophy. It's not being utilized. It's not being exercised. You're never able to tap into your own power, your own strength, your own discernment, your own gifts, whatever it is, if you're still living through the ideals, the belief systems of someone else. This is why this energy is so exciting, because it's going to be taking us into a space of like global individuality, a space of everyone either thinking for themselves or really starting to see how these thoughts aren't theirs. And that's something that can be difficult for so many of us. Like, we don't want to change. We don't want to have to take responsibility for stuff. We don't want to have to do the uncomfortable, especially with Taurus, with Uranus in Taurus. Everything is going to be about stepping into discomfort. And I know I probably say that often enough as like, you know, step into that uncomfortable situation and see what happens, see what you spark. But this is literally like, no, I'm going to make your life uncomfortable until you change it. I'm going to make everything that you experience uncomfortable until you stop putting yourself in situations where you're going to experience that. It's going to be super interesting, for sure. I'm ramped up, I'm geared up, I am excited. As a side note, something I will say is to all of my Aquarians out there, hold on. Uranus is Aquarius's ruling planet, and one good thing is that with Jupiter going direct, there will be some sort of balance as far as the mind, the air energies go. Aquarius is a sign of the air. It's a sign of the mind, the intellect, thought processes, things of that nature. And Jupiter, being a planet of expanded thought and consciousness, is going to be stepping in while Uranus steps out. Again, we have that like supreme ruler god and the first god energy that's happening, so they are keeping a very nice balance as they come in and out. They just rule over very different aspects of our lives except for the thought process one. So to my Aquarians, understand that your thought processes might feel weird, they might feel different, they might feel abnormal for you, which honestly, an abnormal Aquarius thought process is super normal to Aquarians in general. Aquarian thought processes are so far outside of the box that most other signs don't follow it anyways. So don't worry about not following your own thought process, because we don't follow you half the time anyways, and it's totally okay. Just be okay with that. Hello, Jeannie. Hello, hello. I hope that you're having a beautiful day. Hello to everyone joining. Hello, Lene. Hello, Gracie. Hello, Gracie. Gracie, I remembered this morning that I have a text from you that I did not respond to, and I think it was about the radio show. So I'm gonna need to follow up on a text with you. Don't let me forget that, because I will forget. Let me see if there's anything that I missed. I took notes and I haven't been looking at them this whole time, guys. I could have missed something. Uranus is also the planet that rules over our inner will and our secret power. So something that we've been going over a lot is power, inner power, true power, authentic power, things of that nature. Leo, and I'm going to keep saying the fire energies, the Leo stuff, the sun stuff, the moon stuff, everything has been about stepping into power, and Uranus highlights the secret powers that we have. Uranus highlights also inner motives, things that bring us purpose. Uranus highlights that stuff that we might not have even known was one of our driving forces. So like, for example, me with the work that I do, Uranus might start highlighting a reason that I do this work that I didn't know I do this work. And maybe that reason will be in alignment with who I am, and I'm like, well, that's fucking cool. Or maybe that reason will not be in alignment with who I am, and then I'll realize that I have something I need to work through or heal through or dissolve or an intention to change, whatever that is. But Uranus brings to light the secret stuff that we haven't been working with, and that's not the same as like how we talk about like the moon and Scorpio energy and secrets and secrets that will make you feel bad. This is really about how we've kept our power secret, how we've kept our ability secret, how we've kept our strength secret, things of that nature. That's going to be coming to light as well. And what's amazing about that is with us seeing, experiencing Jupiter, Uranus, Taurus. So us seeing what needs to change in the world that's not safe. Us seeing what needs to change in the world that is abusive fire. Us seeing what needs to change in the world to get more towards divine feminine and masculine and away from the toxic. We're also going to be coming up with number one, so Jupiter ideas, so expanded ideas, conscious ideas of how to make these changes. And also we're going to be attaching these ideas to our strengths. We're going to be attaching these ideas to our secret power. So we're going to be coming up with ideas that are really authentic to who we are because they allow us to embody, display, and utilize our powers, our strengths, our hobbies, whatever it is. We're going to be coming up with all of these innovative ideas and ways of bringing newness into the world that require of us to tap into our authentic power and abilities. So this is a time of really allowing ourselves, like, for example, if you're someone who no one knows it, but for fun, you, I don't know, paint murals on rocks, and you haven't shown anyone because you think no one cares about your rocks, go show everyone your rocks. Everyone. Show every person alive your rocks. I promise you, something amazing is going to happen. Whether it's you win $1 million rock competition or your beautiful painted rocks end up being what creates world peace, I don't know. But this is a time where we need to show people what we can do. We need to show people what we're passionate about. We need to show people what we can create. We need to tell people what we think works. We need to tell people what we think the world needs. We need to tell people what we think is healthy and happy and loving and peaceful and blah, blah, blah. If we're not getting those ideas out, they're not going to happen. One downfall of like Aquarian energy, air energy, the energy of the mind, is that if we keep all of these ideas in our head and we don't bring them into some sort of physical vibration, if we don't speak them or we don't create them with our hands or we don't draw them or we don't dance them, whatever that expression is, we can't bring it into the physical. So a lot of Aquarian people, and part of how I was saying we don't follow their thoughts anyways, a lot of Aquarian people have all of these great ideas and they keep them up here and they don't share them. They have all of these great ideas and maybe they don't share them because they're insecure, or maybe they don't share them because they think it's impossible, or maybe they don't share them because they have so many ideas that they forget about what one was 3 seconds ago. So this is going to be needing to ground these ideas into physicality. So it's like and especially the weird stuff, this is going to be, again, with Jupiter and Uranus, these ideas are going to be things that seem like a long shot. These plans are going to seem like they don't make sense. They're going to seem like they are totally, what's that word? Unorthodox. They're going to feel like, someone would have done that already, or how has someone not thought of that, whatever it is. All of those ideas, all of those weird, out of the box, doesn't make sense, I don't want to talk about it ideas, those are the ideas that need to be talked about right now. Hello to everyone that is joining. I should put my glasses back on. Dude, secret powers. I just had an experience highlighting this last night. Good. Good. This is what we're in right now. Like if you haven't caught up, if you haven't been doing this work, there's so much on the back burner right now that's going to be burning that you're going to have a fire that's not the type of fire I've been talking about. So do this work, be in this space with us as a collective. Like there's no sense in like Uranus is a planet and he's a god. We can't fight him. We're not doing that. We're not going to wake him up. We're not going to push him into whatever. Like, let's just be in this energy and accept what's going on and dive into what it's trying to show us. That way we can all come out with superpowers like Michelle. Round of applause for Michelle. You're a wizard, Harry. Did I miss anything? Does anyone have questions, by the way, since I'm taking time to look over my notes? That's cool. It looks like I remembered most of it without needing to look at my notes, so that's pretty awesome. Something that I wrote down about Jupiter is something that I've been trying to press for the last several weeks. So Jupiter energy having to do with like expanded thought processes and abundance and stepping into our power and purpose, and Jupiter being the ruler of Sagittarius. Sagittarian people are typically the kind of people, or people who have strong Jupiter influence in their chart, are typically the type of people who, if something isn't bringing them joy, if something isn't making them feel good, if something isn't serving them, if something isn't allowing them to tap into their potential, then they leave it. So that is to say that, like, if someone with strong Jupiter influence or strong Sagittarian influence is in a job that doesn't value them, they'll leave. They're not someone who sits around and waits to be devalued so much and then they leave. They're like, no, this isn't the place for me. Someone with strong Jupiter aspects or strong Sagittarian energy in their chart is the type of person who will leave a 7-figure job to go like sell flowers on the side of the street, if that makes them more happy. So another energy that we are being beckoned to allow ourselves to step into is stepping out of, and this is where that Taurus energy of safety and security comes in. Stepping out of something that doesn't serve us, even if it's providing us with something that we think that we need. Stepping out of something that does not serve us in order to step into something that's more authentic to us, in order to step into something that allows us to act on our powers more, that allows us to act on our desires more, that allows us to act on what brings us joy more. This is like, and it's so funny because I really don't like harping on like, quit your fucking job, but I've been finding myself telling people that more and more every day. It's like, obviously, if it doesn't make, and how many times have I said this? If it doesn't make you happy, leave. I get it. You've got bills. We've all got bills. I've got bills. I quit my job and I still had bills to pay. I totally understand that. And we all do. And for some people, it's like, well, I don't just have bills. I have children. I have pets. I have a family. I have parents. Whatever the case is, I promise you there is nothing that will serve you and your family and your home more than you allowing yourself to be happy in an unconditional fashion. Something that allows you to live a life of joy in a way that's unadulterated. I promise you, there's nothing more that you can provide to anyone that you think that you need to be providing to other than that. If you've got that squared away, you're good. If you're operating on the vibration of joy and abundance and success and happiness, then even if you're jobless, all of your stuff is going to be paid for. Even if you can't afford spoons, you will have food on your table. Even if I'm out of ideas. All of that. I don't need to go into 10,000 metaphors. You get it. This is what we need to step into. So this means, again, that Jupiter energy combined with the Uranus energy of dynamic change and seeing what it is that we need to do, that we need to change, that we need to shift in order to be happy, in order to be ourselves, in order to embody our individuality, whatever it is. It means leaving the things that we think that we need. And again, that's the Uranus-Taurus aspect. Leaving the things that we think provide us security. Leaving the things that we think are safe. Leaving the things that are comfortable. That's what all of that Taurus energy is about. I tell everyone, Taurus people are the type of people they choose a home, they settle there, and that's going to be their home for generations, and they will craft and curate and build anything that they think they could ever need in their entire life, and they put it there and they cement it to the floor along with their feet. This is what we're taking ourselves out of. It's like, fuck, I cemented my feet to the floor, and it turns out this floor just happens to be in the middle of a volcano. I don't want to live here anymore. So either I'm going to learn how to uncement my feet, or I'm taking the floor with me, or I don't need feet because I can regrow feet. Whatever the case is for you, just because you cement yourself somewhere doesn't mean you have to stay there. It's a joke, I promise. What can you tell me about how this will affect me? I'm going through it. I don't know. It affects everyone different. I can definitely say it's affecting all of us in the ways that I've stated. As far as like individually, being so you're a Capricorn, right? So that would make you the earth that don't like moving. That would make you the earth that doesn't like change. So this will be very difficult for you. Yeah, this will definitely be a tough one for you, for sure. Because this is all about change, and Capricornian people are the type of people to get their little goat hooves to the top of the mountain in the most difficult way and say, fuck you, I'm not moving and I'm not changing the way I got up here, even though I can't get down that way. So yeah, this is not going to be easy. I will definitely say that. You are awesome. Oh, thank you, Lene. Oh, I love you. I love you, Michelle. Yeah, if you're someone, like if you're a fixed sign, honestly, if you're anything other than a mutable sign, this is going to be hard for you. My fixed signs and my cardinal signs are going to... So if you're a fixed sign, that means you don't like change, you don't like moving, you need to stay where you are. If you're a cardinal sign, that means that you like where you are because you got yourself there. You are where you are because you got yourself there. You're the one who came up with the ideas. You were the first one with that plan, and that's the reason you don't want to change. The fixed signs tend to be more about, I don't want to change because I've made a safe situation for myself, or I'm afraid to step into change, or I'm just resistant. A cardinal sign is, I'm not going to change because I don't need to, because I know what I'm doing, I know how to do it, I did it already, it worked for me, blah, blah, blah. Mutable signs, we're like, okay, this is the change. And even if we don't like it, we go with it. Even if it's weird, we go with it. Even if it's uncomfortable, we go with it. We figure it out, we can do it. So anyone besides mutable signs are definitely going to have a difficult time right now. All I can say to that is, shoulder shrug. It's hard for all of us, I promise. But we're also doing it for all of us. Like, we're doing it for ourselves, but like me stepping into my authenticity more, me stepping into my purpose more, me stepping into my passions more, me stepping into unconditional love more, means the rest of the world can as well. And the same, like, you stepping into your purpose more means I can step into mine more. Like, we're all doing this together. And it means that I'm holding a space for you to do that, and you're holding a space for me to do that. So, like, all of us holding this space for ourselves means that we're holding it for each other also. Me allowing myself to recognize how I might carry toxic masculinity around so that I can change it means that I'm holding a space for other people to recognize how they might be carrying that energy in order to change it as well. Does that make sense? I don't want to get you off on too many tangents, but I don't know what fixed or mutable signs are. How do I know what mine is? So for the signs, there's fixed, there's mutable, and there's cardinal. Well, I should say the other. There's cardinal, there's mutable, and there's fixed. So every, how do I explain that? So there's 4 elements. So we have 12 signs. Oh, we're doing math now. So we have 12 signs and 4 elements. So there's 3 signs, in each element. Does that make sense? Each sign in each element has whether it is cardinal, mutable, or fixed. So the cardinal sign is based on the, I'm just gonna get confusing, based on the astrological calendar, the cardinal sign is the first sign of that element. Does that make sense? So for example, Aries. Well, that's an easy one. So Aries is the first sign of the calendar. So the calendar starts with Aries. Aries is, since it's the first sign of the calendar, but Aries is the first fire signs. So Aries is cardinal fire. So then we go through the list, and then we get to the next fire sign, which is what are we? Leo. So it goes cardinal, then mutable, then fixed. So like me, for example, I'm a Virgo. Virgo is mutable earth. The earth that comes after Virgo is our Capricorn. So Gracie. So we have our Capricorn. I want to like draw this on a graph for you. I feel like that would be easier because the zodiacal or the astrological calendar starts several months after the Gregorian calendar starts. So it's hard to explain based on numbers and first and last, but that is that. So we have cardinal of each sign, a fixed of each sign, and immutable. Cardinal being, I'm the first one here, this is how I do things. Typically, cardinal signs are the ones who are the starters, the self-starters, the ones who get things started, the ones who start new trends, the ones who pave some sort of path for the other signs. The mutable signs are the ones in the middle. We're the ones who are okay with change. We're the ones who are going here and going there, embodying a little bit of both. And then we have the fixed signs, and the fixed ones are the ones who are like, no, I'm here and I'm staying here and I'm not going anywhere because I'm here, because it's safe to be here, whatever the story is. So I hope that makes sense. Michelle, I will probably end up drawing a graph and sending it to you. When you asked, does that make sense? Excuse me, I said yes out loud. Eventually I realized you can't hear or see me when you do videos. Good to know. So that's that. So I believe I discussed everything that I was hoping to cover. The last thing actually that I want to point out is that also Jupiter is the planet of generosity. And I'm not saying that as a way of telling you to be generous with everyone and to give everyone things. Mostly what I'm telling you is to be generous with yourself. And in ways other than what you would normally think of. So that also doesn't mean that I'm telling you to buy yourself a ton of stuff, although treat yourself. What I'm actually telling you is to be generous in what you're allowing yourself. So that means allowing yourself things that you like and things that you don't like either. That means allowing yourself things that are comfortable and things that are not comfortable. That means allowing yourself, and when I say that, I mean allowing yourself to go through it. Allowing yourself to feel it. Being generous with allowing yourself time to cry. Being generous with allowing yourself to not want to surround yourself with certain people. Being really generous, being really compassionate with yourself, giving to yourself, giving yourself opportunities, not giving yourself excuses, but giving yourself room. I hope that makes sense. The next several months are going to be a challenge when it comes to the way that we think, when it comes to our belief systems, when it comes to the ways that we view the world and how certain things might need to change globally. This is going to be a time where it's like, you know, a lot of times, oftentimes we tell ourselves that it doesn't matter. It's like, oh, what's the point of thinking about, you know, poverty if I'm just one person and I can't change anything about that? This is going to be the time where it's like, one person can change something. One person allowing their idea, allowing their new belief, allowing their newfound solution, whatever that is, one person allowing that to come to physical manifestation could change the entire world. And that's not me being dramatic. All it takes is one idea. All it takes is one word. All it takes is one phrase. All it takes is one journaling. All it takes is one wish, one dream, one whatever during this time for things to really happen and to make a profound global effect. So whatever it is that's coming to you over this next course of whatever belief systems are changing, whatever ideas of yours are being challenged, allow that, be in that, be happy about that, because whatever newness comes after we burn away, dissolve, drown these beliefs, these limitations that we have, we're going to be able to reach a very authentic and powerful level of manifestation. And if you're someone who wants world peace and love and all of that stuff that would hopefully we all want, hopefully if you're watching this, that's something that you want. If you're one of those people, we need to hear your voice. If you're one of those people, we need to see your ideas. If you're one of those people, we need to know what your plans are. I have a friend who has actually been ghosting me recently, but I have a friend who several months ago, probably 6 months ago now, he divulged this plan that he had to me about something that he wanted to create for the world in order to help us step more into unconditional love. And for hours, he was like, but I can't release this idea. I can't tell anyone about it because what if it doesn't work? Or what if it's not possible? Or what if someone steals it and it doesn't work? Blah, blah, blah. And finally, by the end of us hanging out, I was like, I haven't asked you this whole time because it's your choice. I was like, but why are you refusing to share this? And it was because he was afraid that either someone was going to take it or it wasn't going to work, or it was going to seem preposterous or whatever it was. And I was like, but if you don't share this idea, how will you make it work? If you don't share this idea, how will it ever come to fruition? If you don't share this plan of yours, how are you ever going to create the world that you want to create? Even if someone steals it, that world is still created. How shitty is that? Even if you have this plan that could end world hunger, and someone else steals your plan and gets all of the credit for it, gets all of the monies for it, and they save a ton of lives, it still happened. And then that's a really, even for me, like especially for me, that's a really difficult concept to accept, because I have an issue with people taking credit for things that are not theirs. I have a trigger with not getting credit for the things that I've done. But also I know that even if someone takes credit for something that I created, if that creation was made of love, if that creation was made from a place of wanting great things for the world, that means the world is getting great things. And that's something that I can be happy about, even if the world doesn't know that I created it. So that's my way of telling you, share your ideas. Share whatever it is that you think you need to be keeping secret. Share whatever it is that you think is ridiculous or isn't going to have a chance to make an effect, or isn't going to come about, or can't be made, or is impossible, blah, 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 fucking blah, excuses to not step into our power. Hi. I do get it, but I'd love to see the graph. I will send that to you. I probably have a book with one in here right now. It's just, it's a lot of math, and, well, technically it's not, but like I said, there are 12 zodiac signs, and there are 4 elements. So there are 3 zodiac signs in each element, and each zodiac sign carries a different personality trait of that, of each element. So it's like, again, fixed, mutable, cardinal. So yeah, and I'll try to find maybe a page in a book that I can send you that explains it a little bit better. That's not something I've ever had to put into words for people before, so I don't really know how to do that. But, like, I'm a Virgo, I'm an earth sign, and Taurus is an earth sign, and Capricorn is an earth sign. So one of us is mutable, one of us is fixed, and one of us is cardinal, and the same for all of the other elemental signs. But anyways, maybe I'll do another video on that once I learn how to actually explain that to people. Thanks for sharing these videos. I love them. Insightful, relatable, informative, and it feels like hanging out with you. Very much appreciated. Love you. Girl, if this was anything like hanging out with me, we would still be on this video at 4 o'clock in the morning laughing about how we need to go to sleep. So, might be a little different than that. But I'm really glad that you like them. Sometimes I'm like, what if people actually don't care about this shit? What if people aren't actually learning anything from this? What if people think that I'm just weird talking about things that aren't actually relatable? But sometimes I go back, and rarely I go back and watch them, and then I'm like, oh, did I say that? That's a good piece of information. So maybe this is one where I need to do that. But anyhow, that's what I have for you all. That is Uranus, Jupiter stuff. if you have any questions about it, definitely feel free to write me. As always, when I come on here and I do these like planet-specific videos, I do offer readings. So I am offering discounted readings for anyone who wants to dive into this kind of energy, like this Uranus, Jupiter, change versus idealism and abundance and blah, blah, blah. All the things I've talked about. If that's something that you want to do a reading for, I do discounted full readings on that we do live over video chat. So that is always an option for ya. Plugs. Vegas men, anyone who defines themselves or identifies as a man. We have our first gathering of the Gods meeting this Sunday at 4 o'clock, which I'm incredibly excited for. This is going to be our first founding men's circle here in Las Vegas. The purpose of this circle is for us to strip away the definitions and the connotations that we've adopted as being masculinity, so that we can redefine that for ourselves and our community and bring that energy into the world instead of whatever we've been walking around in. This is going to be a very intimate processing circle, discussion circle, conscious conversation circle, whatever we want to call it. This is a space for people to come and have support. This is a space for people to come and connect. This is a space for people to come and heal and process and talk, figure shit out, work through shit, whatever it is, this is the space for it. This is our way of really, really re-identifying with what fire energy is, what masculine energy is, and how we can embody that in a way that serves the planet instead of burns the planet. This first meeting is definitely going to be free. We're running it on a donation basis. We are taking donations at the event and over Eventbrite as well. If you want the link, send that to me. Not super sure about future circles if we're going to require payment or not, but this is a very specific and intentional space that we're going to be holding, and this will be a monthly meeting. So yes, if you want to come to that, that is going to be at the Las Vegas Enlightenment Center on Sunday at 4 p.m. And it is a vegan potluck as well. So please remind me to set an alarm so that I make something, and please bring something yummy to share. I will probably end up making something Sunday morning. But please bring something yummy to share. That would be really, really, really nice. And I am super excited. And other than that, I don't know if I have any more things that I need to announce, so I'm not going to. I love you all. I hope that you're having a wonderful Friday. I hope that this weekend is exciting for you. I hope Lionsgate was everything. All of the good things, you get it. I love you. I want all of the goodness. I will see you next time. I will see you soon. I'm feeling jittery, so I need to get out of this chair. I will talk to you later. Love and light to all of you, and goodbye. How do I end this? I'm feeling super jittery all of a sudden. And it won't let me shut this off. I don't get to leave, guys.